Well, thank you all for coming. I'm glad the governor was able to come and see what we've been able to do for the veterans. That's our focus right now, is helping the veterans get them off the street, educate them on what they can do and what's available here for them. Right here where they live, well block, and they at the VA hospital. There are so many things that are here for them. Many of them don't have any idea what they can have. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad the governor, thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
Mayor, thank you.
Good to see you, man.
And I'm glad all of you are here so you can see what's available here. This is a beautiful place to live. You can see the murals around here. Those are donated freely by the artists also. There's so many things here, and it's not done yet. So in February, we should have this phase 3 finished. And when that's done, I hope you come back again. Thank you.
I love it. I appreciate it.
Mayor Steinberg, you want to just contextualize and, maybe we can talk a little bit about the work you're doing as co-chair of the task force, the work we're doing at the local level to amplify better behavior and regionalize our strategies. and plans.
I'd be happy to. First of all, Mayor Garvey, thank you as always. A veteran himself and a great local elected official. Appreciate all the work that you have done here. And Governor, wonderful to be here with you. I would like to contextualize this a little bit. First of all, recognize where we're at. This is a beautiful project, and it does demonstrate the historic and positive relationship between the federal government, the state government, local governments around affordable housing and homelessness. But unfortunately, of course, we are living in a different era. And, I don't know how else to say it except to say it in my way and to be blunt. Look at the difference between Governor Newsom and his approach and President Trump and his approach. Governor Newsom has led putting forward an unprecedented amount of resources to combat homelessness in less than 1 year in office. And let me tell you, as a mayor of a major city, we are benefiting greatly by that leadership and those investments. Homelessness is not a partisan issue. And these monies are not just going to Democratic cities or Democratic districts, they're going to communities throughout the state. Contrast that leadership with the current administration. Does President Trump really care about the homeless situation in California? Or is this just another opportunity to use a wedge issue to contrast California with the 7 or 8 states that are at play in the presidential election? Come on. If he is serious about partnering with the state of California and our cities, then come forward with some constructive solutions. Increase the number of housing choice vouchers or increase their value. Don't try to zero out the community development block grant program. Don't cut food stamps. And certainly don't put forward a philosophy that implies at least that you're going to round up a lot of people and put them where? This is too serious of an issue to play the politics with. And certainly, I know I was at the state level in the legislature. Now as mayor, this is a day-to-day effort to literally get as many people under a safe roof as possible and get them the help and the services that they need. And so my city will take the governor's 100-day challenge that he will describe in a moment ago to try to expedite the implementation of some of the strategies he has begun and we have begun. But we're also here to say we appreciate yesterday's announcement that the state administration is going to expedite the $650 million because everything in government takes far too long. And to get the money sooner than later is deeply appreciated. But we're going to put it to work and we're going to get people indoors because that's what matters. So I'm glad to be here. And I turn it over to the governor of the state of California.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate, Mr. Mayor, thank you for hosting us. And Mr. Mayor, thank you for your your spirited words, which I deeply appreciate, and I think meet this moment in our history on this issue in the state of California. I want to just first acknowledge the extraordinary talent of those behind the cameras that are responsible for the incredible work that has been done here over the last number of years in building out these units. We had an opportunity to meet with a number of residents here and learned a little bit about their life's stories. And it's a reminder, everyone's story is unique. Everyone's experience is unique. Everybody lives through their own set of experiences. One experience is unique and distinctive from every other. And it's a reminder of the approach we need to take as a state and a nation to address the issues of homelessness, and that is from the lens of cultural competency, from the lens of the individual, customizing strategies to address people's needs where they are, meet them where they are. And so I just want to acknowledge the great work that's happening here. It's not just about housing, it's about the supportive services, customizing life plans to help people get back on their feet, to reconnect with their family, reconnect with their community, dare I say, reconnect with their purpose. Because at the end of the day, what so often happens is a traumatic event occurs in one's life, and people have to process that, and they lose that sense of purpose. They lose that confidence, they lose that hopefulness, and they lose that connection to other people, and even that own self-respect that ultimately manifests so often in people self-medicating and people finding ways to be often self-destructive. And then they struggle until they meet that moment where someone bends down on one knee to help lift them up, where someone ultimately connects with them or reconnects with them and meets them at that moment of vulnerability where they finally say yes, after perhaps many years just saying no, it's not the right time. And so it's just a reminder that this problem can be solved. And if you think it can't be solved, meet the folks that live behind every single one of these doors. They're proof positive that homelessness can end, not just in the state of California, but across the country. I think there are a lot of folks that just think it's not possible, it's just too big, it's getting worse and worse, and we're spending more money, and they just say, you know what? Society's never going to figure this out. That's just absolutely untrue. It's a question of political will, it's a question of commitment. And not just political will in terms of those in elected office, I mean political and personal will. Communities stepping up and stepping in and responding as they must to be part of the solution. And that's the spirit of this moment and today's announcement. We want to enliven the senses, not just of elected officials at the local and county and regional level. We want to inspire community action at the local, county, and regional level. And that's why today we want to follow up on yesterday's announcement about the distribution of hundreds of millions of dollars of emergency aid to cities and counties. We want to now match it with a sense of intentionality at the local level by inspiring 100-day commitments in cities and counties, large and small, up and down the state. 6 counties, literally overnight, have already committed to the 100-day pledge. Over 13 cities and county have already committed to the 100-day pledge to focus resources at the local level, to utilize resources from the state level, and utilize the human capital that we are also advancing to support consultancy and best practice work from state to amplify efforts that may be underway, or focus efforts that may be underway, or inspire efforts that need to get underway to, in 100 days, get 100 youth off the street. In 100 days, get 100 seniors off the street. In 100 days, to
secure land.
to get
100, to get at least 100 efficiency housing units up and running, but to begin by securing the land to be able to place those efficiency homes on. I think this efficiency housing movement may be the future here, to do what Mercy has done, but to also do it in ways that are more affordable and that can be built faster so that we can address the volume of people. So that's our pledge.
to get 100 veterans off the street in the next 100 days. You get the narrative here. With discretion, with autonomy, but now with a renewed sense of expectation and, I'll say it, accountability. The state's stepping in historic ways, but we want to see historic results. And I think the public demands that, and they should expect that. People are frustrated. We're frustrated. People rightfully have identified the issue of affordability as the issue in the state. Housing, homelessness, housing costs, exacerbating the homeless crisis, the cause and effect connected to the issues of lack of affordable and available housing at all income levels is manifesting in this legitimate crisis and increasing crisis of confidence in the state of California. So we're meeting that head on, and we're doing it, and I appreciate, Mayor Steinberg, the statement you made in a way that I think it should be done. We're not interested in a social media campaign of, moving people off the streets to act like we're tough and we're solving a problem, and we're just moving that problem out of sight and out of mind. That's not our approach. We're very proud that Matthew Doherty, who was then running the Obama administration's efforts under HUD on the Interagency Council on Homelessness, who carried over because he thought he can influence this Trump administration, decided, you know what, too much at stake for me to walk away, and was fired by the Trump administration because he did not want to do their dirty work. And he didn't want to walk down the path he knows they're walking down. Darryll Steinberg just said something that's really important. I think this is interesting. We talk about all this Ukraine stuff, $391 million. Isn't it interesting that that's the exact number of cuts that this administration proposed this year in CDBG grant funding? $360 million for local and county funds. They wanted to cut, eliminate, to help programs and projects like this. And then 29.8, so forgive me, just shy of $390 million that would have gone through the state in CDBG grants. That was what the Trump administration's proposal to address this issue. Let's eliminate CDBG grant funding. Let's cut by 18% the HUD budget. That was their proposal this year, to cut vouchers for the folks living in these units. How many folks literally would not be here today if that budget actually was passed? Thank God for the Democrats in Congress that stood up. Thank God for Matthew Doherty that stood up against those cuts. Thank God for mayors across this country. So what the hell's going on over there? This is serious stuff, and it needs serious people. They're not serious in this administration. Donald Trump is not serious. He's not sincere. He's scapegoating this issue. We sent out a letter to the Trump administration in September, said, you want to partner with us? Bring it on. We're ready to not put out a clenched fist, an open hand, and we look forward to engaging. We got a scathing letter in response, basically giving us the middle finger. Today, we are sending the Trump administration another letter saying the following. You want to get serious about addressing the issue of homelessness, get serious about housing. Shelter solves sleep. Housing and supportive services solve homelessness. Housing first works. Direct access to housing works. And if you want to advance the cause that brings us here today, and the folks that live here, then address the fair market rent issue. Don't demagogue it. This is addressed by previous administrations, recognizing that Mineola, Texas, has different costs than downtown LA. And a voucher that's worth about $1,200 a month, it's not going to work in downtown LA. Not going to work in downtown San Francisco. So when Ben Carson sends a letter to all of you and you report that we have about a third of the vouchers that are unused, no kidding. We've been saying that for years, Mr. Carson. Why? Because you can't use the voucher because you can't find a unit for $1,100 a month. So you can adjust, the President of the United States can adjust tomorrow by sending an executive order to HUD to adjust the FMR, the fair market rents. You could put tens of thousands of people in housing units like this tomorrow. If they're sincere, if they want to solve a problem. But it's not about problem solving, this is about politics. And I find it the height of irony. You have a President of the United States that somehow is complaining that homelessness is creating a major water pollution problem. allegedly, in places like San Francisco. And the one mechanism to help get people off the street, he's working against, which is helping us support that delta between the value of a voucher and the fair market rents that are the reality out here in the state of California. So we've got a letter laying out not our grievances, laying out our needs, and we expect and hope the president will respond, but we hope thoughtfully and judiciously. He came here in September, the deep sense of urgency, and yet they haven't even approved the point-in-time accounts to allow us to invest our own money. If it was so urgent, Mr. President, in September, and you already, we don't think this, we now know this. It's nice to have the former director of the Interagency Council at HUD. We don't think we know they have that information. Why haven't you certified it, Mr. President? If it's such an emergency, it's so damn important, then certify the pick counts so we get all that money out, not just 75% of it, which we announced yesterday. Forgive me, I'm picking up on Mayor Steinberg's spirit. Because this is real lives here. This isn't politics, this is real people, real lives, real pain, real suffering. And damn it, we need help. And I'm not shy to say that, I'm not naive. The week I took the oath of office, these new counts came out. I've been here 20 years, I'm gonna take responsibility, and we are stepping up. But this has been decades in the making. We got to meet this moment. We need support from the federal government. So, Mr. President, don't demagogue this. Do the right damn thing. Move forward. Help us with the fair market rents. We'll do our part. You're not going to see just 13 100-day challenges in 13 cities or 6 different counties. You'll see hundreds more because we can meet this moment. And so, again, I'm grateful for the incredible leadership, mayors here, mayors that have stepped up all across the state, and the legislature that is providing historic resources this year. And I can assure you this, we want to keep that momentum. We're going to do our part. We just need the federal government now to do theirs. Forgive me for my long-windedness.
Governor,